Welcome in to Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. I'm Megan Payton. We're talking mailbag today. We're going to answer the questions that you guys left for us in the comments. But first, as a request here at Chat Sports, guys, we are getting close to 6,000 subscribers. Help us out. 5,568 is where we are currently at. The Browns channel's catching up here. So if you want to show that you are the best team in the AFC North, subscribe today to Steelers Talk. Go to youtube.com/Steelers TV or press that big red button. All right, so we asked you guys at the beginning of the week to let us know what you wanted us to talk about, and there were some similar questions in our show that we're going to kind of combine, talk about. But I do want to just first say that some of these might seem negative, but the Steelers, I'm feeling pretty good about them right now. I feel like they're on a good track. I know that last week ended in a loss, which is upsetting, but I really feel encouraged by the way Big Ben's looking, by the way this offense is looking. Once they get healthy, I feel like the Steelers are on the right track. But let's get into it. These are our questions for our Week 12 mailbag. First one coming in from Randy Assad. Devin Bush misses reads, very poor tackling, needs to sit bench and maybe play special teams. So this has been a big concern, I think, for Steelers fans, and it's been something that we've tried to kind of maybe ignore for a few weeks, but honestly, it has not been going good for Devin Bush. He has not been playing strong. Like Randy said, he's been missing tackles, missing reads. Some of the I've rewatched some of these games, watched what he's done, and he's just been off. And Mike Tomlin has talked about this. He was asked about Devin Bush in a press conference, and he said his play has been spotty at times. It hasn't been at the level of consistency that we would like or that he would like, but he has had some challenges from a health standpoint and is working back from the injuries and things that he has. Now, we obviously know Devin Bush suffered that ACL injury, and I like to think that he's pretty much recovered from it by now. But I mean, his 2021 performance just hasn't been great. This is his PFF grade so far this year, 56.9 in coverage. I'd say that's the best if you look at these grades, because the 79.6 grade in pass rush is a little bit misleading because he's not blitzing much. We're not seeing him do a lot of that. But really what sticks out is his overall grade of a 39.1, and his run defense it's a 27.4. So it's not great. And if we just think about what he's done over these last few games, I'll just give you some quick stats. His PFF grade against the Bears was a 54.2, against the Lions was a 41.1, and against the Chargers was a 24.8. That was probably his worst game, honestly, of his whole career. It was really bad last week. And so I think Steelers fans and maybe staff are starting to bring up the question on whether or not it's time to at least consider moving on from Devin Bush. I'm not saying cut him, but maybe let him ride the bench for a little bit, or as Randy said, maybe just utilize him in special teams if that's what's best. But I think that Devin Bush has struggled, and it hasn't been a one-off thing. This whole season hasn't been great for him. We've really seen the way that it's gotten worse too. So to me, it's fair that we're bringing up this question. So I'll ask you guys, is it time for the Steelers to bench Devin Bush? If you think it is, type B for bench or type P for play. Next question is still on Devin Bush. Kevin Cassell says, #Steelers. Should the Steelers consider moving from Devin Bush to Robert Spillane at middle linebacker? Now, this is actually a really good point because, hey, if we're going to say Devin Bush isn't doing great, we want to get rid of him. So what's the Steelers' solution? And I don't think this is a bad option. I think Robert Spillane, we can't judge him yet because he hasn't played enough and he hasn't had enough snaps to let us see what he actually can do. If we look at just what he has done, his PFF grade in week 11 was a 74.1. Now that might seem to you like, hey, that's way better than Devin Bush. Why aren't the Steelers using Spillane? Well, he only had 13 snaps in that Chargers game. So, I mean, again, these stats are a little bit misleading, but I do see his point, Kevin's point, saying, Why not? What do the Steelers have to lose right now? Because if Devin Bush isn't performing, okay, you bring over Robert Spillane, have him come in. I mean, Marcus Allen could maybe be an option. I do think Robert Spillane is going to be a stronger player than Allen. But again, these are just situations that I think the Steelers could consider. I think Robert Spillane has really good potential. I would like to see what he could do. And I mean, really, what do they have to lose? Because if Devin Bush isn't going to be improving, might as well try out another option. Now, obviously, this has been a little bit isolated just due to the fact of all the injuries the Steelers have had on defense. So guys like Devin Bush are going to stick out a bit more. But we are not here to just talk all negative things because the Steelers are looking good. And guys, guess what? Thanksgiving is coming up. Thanksgiving, if you're watching this the day we posted it, Thanksgiving is tomorrow. So let's talk a little bit about Thanksgiving food for a second. Go to the comments right now. Let me know, what is your favorite Thanksgiving food? This is a hot debate in my family. I'm always a stuffing person. I don't care about really anything else. And I want it plain and simple. Don't add anything weird to the stuffing. Just keep it nice and simple. Right now, I've got Jeremy in my ear telling me mac and cheese. And mac and cheese is good, but stuffing is so superior to mac and cheese. So settle that debate. Go to the comments right now. Let me know what your favorite Thanksgiving food is. And I hope you guys have a good holiday. And as the holidays approach, I want to tell you about a great deal because this is not going to be going on for long. If you need some holiday gifts for your family, for your friends, if you go to Fanatics, chatsports.com/Steelers hoodie, they are doing a great deal where they've got up to 50% off on hoodies. This is a men's hoodie right here. This is great. I love this hoodie. And by the way, I mean, if you want to go quarter zip, this is also a great option. Now, the thing I'm most excited to share with you guys and give you a little inside secret. I know most of you that are watching are men, but I know you guys have girls in your life. And Erin Andrews came out with the best design for females sports gear because there really wasn't a brand for this and she crushed it. This is her wear line. I love it. It is literally all I wear. I wear it on these shows too. So go check out chatsports.com/Steelers hoodie. You'll get 50% off of this jacket. Get your girl something that she will like. If she loves Steelers, don't get her some weird men's hoodie. Go and get her actually a cute Steelers outfit that she can rep on Sundays. Make sure you go check out this deal and get your holiday gifts in a little bit early. Next question coming up on our mailbag show is from Reese Lolly. He says, the refs were during the Bears game. Do you agree? So we talked a lot about this Bears game, and so I don't want to go too in depth on it, but I mean, yes, the refs were really bad in that game. And I don't want to sit here and just defend the Bears because this is the Steelers channel, but I do think that the refs were specifically bad on the Bears. That was the talk. So I'm interested to know if Reese is a Bears fan coming in and asking that question because the Steelers lucked out a little bit, I'd say, in that game. There was a lot of controversial calls. I think, some of the main three that stood out from that game were the missed helmet-to-helmet from Justin Fields. Minkah Fitzpatrick was the guy that hit him, and he kind of lowered his helmet. I mean, iffy call. I know that a lot of Chicago fans were upset about that one. The taunting call on Cassius Marsh, that was the biggest one that we talked about after that game. Now, the refs stood by it. They said that, hey, we are sticking, and that's, I don't really blame the refs for that. I blame the NFL for making the taunting rule so annoying. And this has nothing to do with the Steelers versus Bears game. This is just the overall theme of how the NFL is approaching the taunting calls. I'm not a huge fan of it, but maybe you guys disagree. I know Mike Tomlin actually is a fan of it. He said that in a press conference. The last one that stood out was that low block call on James Daniels. So I know when I give you this list, these are all things that would have hurt the Steelers more. So I'm not sitting here trying to defend the Bears, but I do think that there has been a lot of officiating issues around the league. The Steelers have gotten screwed a few times, not maybe in that game specifically, but it's been an issue. It is always an issue. And at the end of the day, the refs are humans. They're going to make mistakes. But I do think that, coaches are getting upset about this. I think players are obviously upset. And the refs might be feeling a little bit more criticism than normal. And I've even heard this question getting brought up. So it's time for me to ask you guys, should the refs be held accountable for some of these bad calls? Meaning, hey, a player gets fined if he does something bad on the field. Should a ref get fined for a bad call. Now, get your votes in on this one. I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. Type Y for yes if you think they've got to fine the refs sometimes, or type N for no if you don't think it's a big deal. Last question we have on today's mailbag show is hashtag Steelers, what happened to Eric Ebron? Now, this one's really upsetting because, as we've mentioned many times this season, the Steelers have dealt with so many injuries, and Eric Ebron hurt his knee during the touchdown score he had last week. Really unfortunate because, honestly, we haven't seen much of Eric Ebron. We thought maybe he was even going to get traded. Pat Freiermuth took on more that number one tight end role. Eric Ebron gets a little bit more playing time last week. Well, it ends for him. Jeremy Fowler, who covers the Steelers, said that he is expected to miss an extended period of time as he braces for potential knee surgery per source. Ebron, who got injured week 11, is waiting on a second opinion, but a procedure is likely the approach as of now. So obviously unfortunate for Eric Ebron. I mean, luckily the Steelers are in a good place with Pat Freiermuth, and obviously they've got a good group of wide receivers right now, but a bummer for him after a pretty big game, I'd say, this season for him. But I know there's a lot of injuries going on in Pittsburgh. I don't want to stay too negative on that because that is out of their control. They'll do what they can. But the Steelers are very much in it. Guys, with all of the injuries that they have, they're only one game off from the playoffs right now. And I'm telling you, when they get healthy, they're going to be right back in this mix. I'm telling you, too, I think that they could easily become division leaders again. I'm not even thinking wild card for Pittsburgh right now. I'm thinking division lead. Maybe they could even grab a number one, number two spot. That would be ideal. Now, of course, this is the reason why you should stay subscribed, or subscribe if you haven't, to Steelers Talk, because we will be the first to let you know what's going on in Steelers news, injury updates, game recaps. We got it all. And we love suggestions too. So subscribe and go to the comments. Let us know what you want us to talk about, and we'll make sure to hit on that on our next show.